Hello, I'm back. My God, it's been a long time. It seems a long time, and you're probably wondering why I haven't posted any more model videos. Well, to be quite honest, the weather's been too horrible, and I couldn't be bothered, to be quite honest. But anyway, got a little bit of I don't know, self-belief back again. Now that it's winter. And I'll just let you know what I'm up to and what I've decided to do. Now, back in the summertime, you remember that we did a submarine, a big submarine build, and it was based on the A19 class submarine, which we built using these sort of sealed boxes and all the rest of it. And I persevered through the summertime and everything else, and it worked kind of okay, but I wasn't really that happy with it really, and I decided, all that time and effort that I spent and money, I decided to kind of scrap it all basically and go back and do something a little bit different. Now what I'm doing, I'm not going to bore you with all the bits, cutting bits and everything else. I'm just going to show you the videos of what I'm doing at different stages. And what I'm doing is I'm taking that A19 and I'm converting it, which is basically the same size, to the Gotland class, which some of you may know is the A19, which is an upgraded version of the A14, which is the original Nacken class, which we showed a model of some time, which is basically this, really. You can see that. Look at it. Now the difference between the A19 and the A14 Nacken class is that the conning tower is slightly different. The body's a bit longer, and a few little changes and everything else, and it's very similar to the A19. So what I've done with that existing A19 that I had is I'm now going to rip out all those boxes, and I'm going back to a tube, a big tube, and we'll cover that later on, and I'm going to put 2 angle units in it, which will be a bit costly, but it will look good, and it will really work really well, and I think it will be a far better improvement to the boxes, which were okay, but not as good as a tube in my opinion, but there we go. So what we've been doing, and I'll show you what I've just been doing, and then we'll move on to the next bit. What I've done is I've taken the front section of that A19, which was this, remember this, and I've made some changes to it. I've slightly changed the bow of it, which is slightly different to work with the Gotland class, so I've reshaped that a bit, and I've been building a new conning tower. So the conning tower is further to the stern, in the same place roughly as the Nacken class, but it's slightly different. So I had some pieces from the original Nacken, which I didn't build, and I made a new conning tower, and this is it. This is the new conning tower that I've been working on. So as you can see, it's basically made out of the same conning tower as the Nacken, but you split it down the middle and spread it out, and and make it flatter. So as you can see here, I've already made the conning tower. We've got all the holes for the periscopes, and we'll run through that later on. Handrails on, splayed it all out. Looks kind of good. And this is, I've done this from the diagrams and photographs that I've had, which is very good. And this is almost completed. And I've taken some of the things we had on the A19 and going to reuse them in here. In other words, we've got this working flap here for the guy coming up, for the crew, and that's going to be controlled just with a float system. So it'll come up, go shut when it dives, and then it'll open again when it surfaces. And we're going to retain the camera in here that we had beforehand. That's going to be good. And the pop-up periscope and everything else. So that's virtually it for the conning tower, and that will be mounted on here. As you can see, we're not in that kind of position at the moment, but there you go, and you get some idea of what it's going to be like. So and this is pretty much scale from the bits and pieces and drawings which are readily available on the internet, because there's a lot of details on the Gotland class. So, and also what I've done here is I thought it'd be quite nice to have some of these sort of raised panels here, rather than them being lines, and raise them up so you get a bit more, when it's on the water, you get a bit more definition on those when it's painted, so you'll be able to see those a bit more rather than being sort of lines, which I thought would work kind of well we retained some of the lights and everything else. So what we're doing now, excuse me, the Gotland class has these flood sort of slots along here, which are sort of covered with a sort of a plate. And what we're going to do here is we're going to put in these aluminium strips along here like that to make it look like we've got these slots. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. And then what I'll do later on is I'll cover the next bit, which we've got to redo the rear section of it, and then upgrade the hull a little bit and all the rest of it. But essentially the boat's there, it's the same length and everything else, but it will be more to scale this time, and it should look kind of good with the with all the detail on the conning tower. Just to run through you with this, I've rebuilt the internals of the periscope system using the same system as the A26. That's the float system that comes up and will push the crew lid up. The pop-up periscope here, which is already lit up, and the camera, which will come up as it did beforehand, because I kind of like that feature, and should be kept on like that. So that's all been done. I've done all that, wired it all up, and it's ready to go. And I think it's a good idea if you're going to do this. And over the period of time that I've learned is, if you build the conning tower first, actually, which tends to be the last thing you build the conning tower first, get all your bits and pieces and your lights and everything else that you want, and then glass it into your hull afterward, which is a much better idea. I found that a lot easier. So we're all ready to go this on and put these slots in, and the next one I'll come back and show you what we're going to be doing with the second section, upgrading that, and then we'll move on to the watertight cylinder, which will contain 2 Engel units and should look pretty good. As I say, a much more vast improvement on the boxes, I think. So, but that's just my opinion. So what I'll do is we'll catch you on the next one and show you what we've been up to. See you later.